All right, everyone. What is going on? We are live. Welcome back to the Unconventional Mindset. It is Monday. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And today, like every day, we get together and we live stream and we figure out and we do work on trying to build ourselves a company that we hope is going to generate us $1 million in revenue every single year. And of course, we're working on Piixel Pieces, and I'm so happy about this that over the weekend, let me just put it up on screen here. We worked it out so that we've figured out how to get by this whole limit of 150 static pages on Webflow. And we now have Piixel Pieces 100% operational, up and running, and basically able to, for us to have as many components as we humanly can have possible, or humanly think are possible, or whatever. We're limited probably by the amount of collection items we can have. So I think that's what, 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever on a maybe more enterprise plan. We don't have to worry about that. We're not going to reach that limit anytime soon, but I'm super happy about it. And I figured what would be interesting, so some of you out there that might be thinking about building your own component library at some point, whether if you just want to have it as a business or a side hustle, or you just want to make components for you to use within your company, which is also something that is not a bad way to go, especially if you're building Webflow websites for people. But yeah, so let me give you an overview of exactly kind of how we accomplish this. Now, right, what's the best place to start? I think we'll start right here. So what we did, so there's a couple things. Should I talk about the things that went wrong? Maybe we can go through a little bit about what went wrong. If we go to here, so we have, I created a bunch of different projects here, which were going to be components for, just components, and they all just have a different project for each kind of theme. So these are all the accordions, these are all the benefits, these are all the forms. So if we go here, let's just open this one here real quick. So all the design forms, blah, 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 blah. Just wait for this to load up here. So all the forms, if you look at here, here's form 1, pages, form 2, all the forms were going to be living in here, which is fine. There wasn't anything wrong about this, except for the fact that when we published these, they were published to a staging site as opposed to an actual production site. And the problem came to that when we were within Piixel and the way that we were displaying our components, if we put it to go to a component page here, this component here is displayed on this page through an iframe. So it's taking up the source of, where are we here? Blah, blah, blah. We want to go, I think, right here to this form. And like if we go here, this URL right here. But the problem with doing it like this, because the reason why is we didn't want to have to buy like all of these sites. Like this would be really, really expensive, right? Because it'd be like $15 a site times, what do we got? Like 12 sites here. So that'd be really expensive per month to manage that. But the problem is that Webflow, for whatever reason, I don't know how exactly they did this, but they disabled the ability to have iframes or content be embedded in iframes that are on those specific domains, on their domains, which was specifically like webflow.io for these ones. So in order to try to get around this, I was thinking of doing something where we can do reverse proxy. And I was thinking that we can have a bunch of sites like Webflow websites, all those ones that have the, the webflow.io domain or subdomain in this case, and then reverse proxy and bring it all into one actual forward-facing site that I would buy. So a domain, so something like, app.pixel.ca. But after doing all of that stuff, there was still that issue where the iframes would not display the content, even though it wasn't going directly from the webflow.io domain, but it was going through the domain through the reverse proxy. So anyways, there were still issues with that. I couldn't quite get that figured out. So then I was just like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just bite the bullet for right now, and let's just create one site, which I have right here, And if we can actually go, so these ones aren't going to be used anymore. But if we go back to all sites and we go to Piixel Pieces, there's this one site right here, Pixel Components 1, which is on this domain, com1.pixel.ca, where we have all of the components on this page here. And this is a page here where I just kind of put it on, like it's just published. So this URL now is going into our actual database here. So if we go back to, do we have Piixel Pieces here? Yeah, we do. So if we go into our components, and if we look again here in the database structure, we have an iframe URL. And the iframe URL, if we could just give an example, that was for like the accordion. So if we just search for the accordion here, you can see that this URL is the same here. So it's just basically displaying the this content in an iframe. Oh my goodness, I got too many pages open right here. And of course, I was working before about trying to dynamically generate the height of the iframe based on the content. And this probably now would work for most of the sites because I was getting issues again with, I think with the iframes and the cross-browser stuff with Webflow domains. But instead of trying to worry too much about that, I just decided to put in a generic height of the iframe based on what the maximum height of each component was going to be based on like any actual screen resolution, whether it's on a phone or whether it's widescreen. Most of the time on the phone have the longest height. So I just kind of put in that value here. The reason why I guess I'm not the happiest with that is because if you go on to Piixel Pieces and you go view a if you go view a component, right here, there's a scroll bar which scrolls. So I really hate that because there's nothing to scroll. So why are you doing that? But of course, it's here because if you do this drop down, we want to make sure that everything is going to fit. And then of course, we want to make sure that it's going to fit as well too when you go down to mobile and you're looking just to make sure everything is going to be here. So that was kind of the temporary compromise that I guess I made in terms of using the actual height. And I don't think it's worth my time to try to figure out how to dynamically resize the iframe, at least at this point in time, especially because I know with these dropdowns, there's going to be an issue anyways, because they have different heights, right? So we can just take a look at another one here. If we just view this one, this has much more elements when you drop down. And then again, you open it here, full drop down. Again, just want to make sure that everything is here. So it's all working now. Everything is fine. Besides these drop downs not being, having this scroll bar there, it's not the end of the world. And I don't think it's something that I need to really worry about. So now we are basically, like I said, we're 100% operational. So we don't need to, we can close this down. Yeah, so we have this one project. So we're paying an extra project for this. So we had to pay for this one. And of course, we can have 150 static pages for this one. So whenever we want to get more, we're going to have to buy another project. And I did touch base with Webflow, and they said they had, through their enterprise plan, you can get your limit on static pages go from 150 to 500 components. However, the cost of that would be, I think they said it would be something like $1,250 a month. So I think like $15,000 a year. That's their starting point, because they don't have like a la carte options. You can't just have, oh yeah, I just want to have more static pages. You have to have the whole enterprise solution, which probably gets you some dedicated people to help you do whatever it is that you might want to do on an enterprise plan. So that's not going to work for us. We're not going to pay $1,250 just to get those multiple, or just like have one project that has like 500, that can have 500 static pages. So it might better to buy 4 sites at $15 a pop than one site at $12.50. Okay, so yeah, so we're basically good to go. So one thing that I wanted to go and talk about today is there's a couple things. The first one is probably to just do a little bit of an overview as to the changes that I want to make with Piixel. And like, what do I mean by that? So we have kind of two things here. So we have Piixel right now, which is, just a site for you to, if you want a website, that will build you a website, right? So different plans, pro, enterprise, whatever, nothing wrong with this. That's kind of what we have. But then we have Piixel Pieces, which, let me just log out of this here. Piixel Pieces is, I guess you can say like an extension of it, but it's just a Webflow component and template library where you can buy access to different pieces to build your own website. So what I would like to do, and what I want to do, is I want to combine these two together into just basically one platform where people can go to, where they can learn how to create websites and learn how to build websites, whether through Webflow. We'll start with Webflow, but we can go beyond just Webflow. And they can get the resources and they could buy the actual assets that they need in order to build the websites for themselves. And it's going to be, I think we're going to just move it more towards being an educational platform as opposed to a site where people can come and get web design services. I think maybe we'll have it so that if you do want to hire us, you can, for now, until we get big enough that that's not going to be a big part of our money. Like, for example, through Piixel Pieces, if you want to sign up, it's $250, like just flat, right, for all-time access. Now, if it gets to the point where we're getting one new customer a day, as an example, let's just bust out a calculator here. So we're getting one new customer a day, times 30 days. So we're making $7,500 a month doing nothing per se, because all of the components are already done. We're just, making more and more components. So if we were to get a project and say, the average project is going to be, $10,000 or something like that for a website, that's good, because, if we're making about $10,000 with our products, but then we're also bringing in $10,000 for a customer, that's not so bad. But how much more time is it going to take for us to pull away from what we could be doing to improving Piixel Pieces to get more customers, and just focusing on building one single website for one person, right? So like, imagine another scenario where instead of getting one new customer a day, say we're at the point where we're getting 10 new customers a day. So you have 10 new customers a day times 30 days a week is 30 days a month. So it's 300 customers per month times $250. So now all of a sudden we're making $75,000. And then every new website project that we would get, it's less and less a total chunk of what we could actually make as a company. And then of course with Piixel Pieces, the way that it is right now, we could have, like, as just thinking, out loud here, if we had 1,000 customers coming in, or 10,000 even, the architecture, I do believe, is going to be able to sustain that type of volume, without me having to hire additional people. Like, if I got to the point where I had 10,000 customers, I would definitely have a few more people, but I would not, like, how many, so just as an example here, bear with me just 1 second. Let me just think this through. So if we had 10,000 customers coming in, not minus, so 10,000 times 250. So that's $2.5 million, right? If we had 10,000 customers. So the amount of people that I would have to hire to be able to handle 10,000 customers would be completely different than the amount of people I'd have to hire if I was to make $2.5 million in revenue with clients. So if I divide this, by 10,000, say that was the average number of money I would get by building a website for somebody, I would have to get 250 clients. And if I just divide that by 12, that'd be like 20 new clients or customers that want a website per month, the amount of staff that I would have to have in order to meet that demand and the amount of websites we'd have to churn out so quickly, it would basically be we'd have to have an agency of, like, I don't even want to know how many people. Like, to do 20 a month, oh my goodness, we would need to have like at least like 100 people, I would imagine. So if you think about having 100 people, and they're all getting paid, so let's just say even a low end, they're all getting paid $50,000 a year. That's $5 million. Like, it's not scalable, right? So again, I'm just randomly throwing out some numbers and just kind of thinking about things out loud here. But it just goes to show in terms of what could scale the company in a way that could help us generate more revenue, but also generate more profits, which we could then use to go ahead and reinvest that into the company to grow the company even more. So that's the one problem with agencies. Unless you're going to be an agency that's going to be like the agency you go to, that's going to do like Super Bowl ads and all this kind of crazy stuff, or that's going to build the website that's going to cost, Nike's going to come and it's going to be, this $250,000 project. Unless you're doing that kind of work, and those work too takes time, right? That's also not a small project. Unless you're that type of agency, you're not going to be bringing in that kind of money to really be able to expand as much as you would by selling products, right? So that's where we kind of want to go. I want to kind of bring everything kind of together. So with that being said, let me see if I could if we could write this out a little bit here. Let's bring in a frame. And so I wish I could actually just draw this, but what would be the best way? Okay, so let's just talk about or type out what it is that we want to do. Well, so we want to merge Piixel with Piixel Pieces under one URL. And I think there's lots of benefits for that as well too. We could even say SEO benefits. Blah, blah, blah. So SEO, but I'm also thinking like just branding benefits as well too. So that's something that we could definitely think of. Kevin, how's it going? Welcome. How's your weekend? Hopefully it was good. You enjoyed some time. Maybe away from the computer. Okay. So I'm just talking about here, I'll just before you kind of joined, I was just musing about the difference between an agency and running Piixel Pieces as, kind of products and kind of where we can go in the future and how many clients, how many customers we'd have to have depending on how much revenue we generate, and just saying how eventually we want to focus on building products for clients as opposed to trying to get clients. And so when I'm looking at merging Piixel and Piixel Pieces together and having it all kind of under one roof, we'll probably start out with us being able to offer the services that if you want to have a website, you want to give us a call, we'll help that out for you. But we're really going to be pushing more of here's all the tools and the educational pieces that you need to figure out how to learn how to build websites for yourself, how to build Webflow websites, any website in general, with other platforms as well too we can get into, and just overall how to even start your own freelance company and business and all that kind of stuff. So, right. So we want to merge all that stuff together. And yeah, we have SEO benefits, we have branding benefits, and is there anything else that I can think of? I guess we can just think of productivity and then direction of company, of what we want to do. Okay. So I don't know if there's even much to even draw out here. Because we'll have Piixel here. Let's maybe put this in. How do I fill this in? We don't have to worry too much about colors or anything like that. Okay, so we have Piixel here. Well, let's double that. And then what's going to branch off through that? So we're just going to have component. Well, let's type in like this. Webflow components. Let's make that a little bit smaller. Not really designing this to look nice here, but just kind of got a showcasing. Okay, so we're gonna have Webflow components. We're going to have courses, which we're going to lay out the freight. We're going to start talking about this one right now, or we're going to plan this one out. So these courses, I mean, they're just going to be free. They're just going to basically be either on the website or on YouTube, or probably a combination of both. But it's just a place where you can go to learn about a specific topic around, you know, web design, Webflow, or whatever the case may be, right? And then we'll have just to say professional services, and that will be just like web. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just the one. We don't need to make more. Just website design. And we're going to just put this here, components, and actually maybe, yeah, no, we'll put it in the same bucket. So I think that's basically what Piixel is going to be. So at some point we'll have to figure out exactly how we're going to take this and merge it into this and bring, because we'll probably just have everything off of the pixel.ca domain. And then maybe, you know, we'll have to figure out how this page is going to look like, where it's going to be, you know, the intro will be something like learn how to, you know, build Webflow websites, you know, blah, blah, blah. So you can, you know, build your own business or company, or I don't know, whatever. Just learn the art and craft of websites. I don't know. And then there'll be like just the different courses that we're going to have. Yeah, I don't know. And then there'll be something, you know, courses, education, and then be components, templates, whatever. And then people can go through it like that. And we'll probably even still have it so that this will still be its own project. But we'll probably just use like a reverse proxy or whatever to put them all on the same domain, because yeah, we don't want to have all of this in one project. But that's the technical details that we'll certainly talk about as we move forward here into changing this into what it is that we want it to eventually become. Okay, but there's actually one other thing too that we're going to need. Which I did not put on here, and there's going to be resources. So resources are going to include things like like the style guide, and also like the blank or starting template. What should we call it? I mean, the style guide is, I think there's going to be two of them. One's going to be the style guide, but I think there's going to be one that's going to be a little bit more of a, like a blank template. But anyways, we'll figure out exactly what the resources are going to be. And then this is, again, this is future stuff, but we'll just throw it in there. And we don't know exactly how this is going to be. Actually, I have no idea how this is going to be, but some type of community building where, again, if it just starts off as a place that we can all hang out and talk about things, or maybe like, yeah, I don't know, maybe not, because there's already so many communities out there as well too. So do we want to reinvent the wheel? Do we want to have another place where people can come together? I don't know, but maybe we can throw it in too in terms of the courses that we have. They're all free. What I'm really thinking about is the Alex Hormozy model, where he writes his books and he's got all these crazy things, but he also has these courses that people can take that help solidify the things that he's taught in his videos and in his books. And it's going to be something like that where there's going to be a specific course where it's like just, for example, one would just like learn the basics of web design or whatever the case may be, and then there's a whole course to it. People take them at their own pace, whatever the case may be. But then also have a community where there's a forum where people can talk about that course and what people are doing, and a place where people can ask questions specifically on that. So I don't know. One thing I was actually I saw a video not too long ago. It was a week ago maybe, and it was a newer video. It was from Pat Flynn. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of Pat Flynn's stuff. I really like his stuff. Pat Flynn has done Smart Passive Income. Maybe I can even bring up his the stuff that he does. Smart Passive Income. They changed their website very recently, since the last time I've seen it. Well, that's interesting. Has he changed everything? Anyways, there was a video that he was talking about, like how he used to sell courses, and he's like, it used to be back in the day, you would sell a course and people would just buy it, and then that would be fantastic. But he's saying now that the completion rate for when people buy the course and actually finish it is like ridiculously low, like under 10%. But he says what they do now is that instead of just, here's my course and you can just take it, they kind of cohort people through a course together, and then they put platforms or whatever in place so that people can discuss and talk about them, and they have a much higher success rate for people actually completing the courses, and getting the value they want out of it. So being able to do something like that, I think, would be super, super beneficial. Again, the idea that I have, at least for now, I mean, things could definitely change, is I don't want to charge any money for taking a course. It's almost like, how Webflow just has their stuff for free. It's like, get people to learn how to use Webflow, understand how to web design and what have you. And then hopefully, for me anyways, the selling of stuff will be in the membership to Piixel Pieces, and like buying that would be the thing that I want to buy. So, but the education and the knowledge, that comes free. But then it's also, here, you want some tools that can help you. That's where the selling is going to come in. Again, that stuff might change, but we'll see. I feel like I should even probably join this community, because it would be kind of really cool. Because that's also one thing that I love, is people that are entrepreneurs getting together and talking and helping each other out. That's always something that I've wanted to build. But I wanted to do something more locally and get together with people like once a week or once a month, and like actually sit down at a coffee shop or something, and we can all kind of get together and just kind of talk about the ups and downs of building a business. Anyways, okay, so I'm going a little bit off topic here, so I do apologize if I end up rambling a little bit too much. But anyways, yeah, so that being said, what is the community and what are the courses going to look like? I don't quite know yet, but that's just something that we want to do, and we're going to figure that out. And so I think what I want to talk about today, I think would be really good, is what is the first course, or one of the first courses that I want to build. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Rolando, if you're here, I know you were asking for this, and I think it would be pretty good, pretty cool to do. And it's a course on, when I say course too, it's also just like almost like a series of videos, that a tutorial kind of thing, would be how to build your very own Webflow component library, which could walk you through lots of different processes of Webflow and other tools that are associated with Webflow as well too, which would be really, really, really cool. So that's actually what I want to get into today. So I think what we can do So yeah, is there anything else? I think that's kind of, before I move on here. So we have the components, the courses, the website design, resources, and a community. Yeah. So, I mean, I know there's also going to be some type of blog or what have you, that there's going to be different posts and what have you. So, yeah, but we don't need to, I don't think, get into those kind of details right now. I don't think. Okay, so let's zoom in on this guy. And so let's just do here, what are we going to do? Outline for Piixel course. And did we did have, like, what did we, there was a time, there was a time, I think it was a month or so ago, maybe even longer, we're talking about what would be the good name for, like, Piixel University. I totally can't remember what we ended up calling it or what I liked. But anyways, outline for Piixel University, let's say first course. I don't know why I'm putting in quotation marks, but I'm going to call it how to build how to build your own Webflow component library like Reloom or Piixel Pieces. So I'm thinking too, like, if it's titled something like this, that'd be kind of good to get kind of that search engine juice from Reloom. Because people are like, how do I build my own Reloom library? And then, of course, associating Piixel with Reloom. I think that's nice. Anyways. All right. Okay. So let's just look at just a quick, table of contents. So what are we going to need to do from this? So there's lots of things. Okay. So the first thing is, okay, how should we start? Okay, let's just throw in things that we know that we're going to need to handle, right? So how to, not handle, what's the word? How to add, I don't know what the word is, but how to, you need to have memberships. How to collect money or payments. Say creating the application. This is just, on Webflow, designing the forward-facing app, right? That's a big thing. So designing components. Where the components live. Dynamically display components. And this, of course, is the iframe issue. What other things? We definitely need to know to add the copy component functionality. And that's, of course, on the individual page, and then also on the I don't know, like overview. It's not the overview page. What is the page where you're looking at, like, all the components? It's not the search, like the brochure. Individual component page, and then like the gallery page. Maybe that'll be a good way to a good term for it. Okay. So memberships, we need to be able to collect payments, create applications, we gotta talk about third-party integration. And that would be, yeah. We need to also just think about just the database design. Definitely need to think about that. What else is there? We should probably also think about like any frameworks to guide component development. What else? What else did we do? I mean, it took us a little while to get this all done, but there were a lot of mistakes that were done. So having this full on thing available for people. Again, I don't know how many people are going to want to develop this, but there's lots of lessons to be learned through something like this. Just building an application with Webflow in general. I wonder if it just to have like an initial conversation about the limitations of Webflow to develop apps. And you could talk about security. And what I mean by that is, if you're using something like MemberStack, there's issues with that. There's also you just can't hide from DOM. You can't hide elements outside the DOM. I guess that's with MemberStack as well too. Just say, just hiding content. I mean, what else can I think of that's a limitation? There's just like lots of little quirks, like if you're out of sync between your production and your development environment, or production development, then your Zapier's not going to function. So that's just these little quirks. Production development sync, out of sync, causes zaps to fail. Certain zaps, not all of them, but certain ones. So we could talk about that. So what else do we need? You got to develop the website. You definitely need to have memberships. You have to have a way to collect payments. And we're just going to talk about Stripe. We're not going to talk about all the different ways that it can be done. We're just going to talk about how I've done it. So we want to identify the overall goals of the project. Who is it for? Like, is it for yourself? Is it for your internal team? Is it just something you want to do for fun? All those questions you kind of need to know the answer to so you can figure out exactly how you want to build this thing. We could just talk about the total financial cost to operate the application. And we could just talk about list of software to use. And then, of course, we can have, there's going to be Webflow. There's going to be member stack. We're going to need Stripe, Zapier. Airtable is questionable whether you need to have it at the start, but it is going to be very useful if there's things that you want to do. The things that I know I want to do, like, for example, you want to be able to mark whether someone liked a component or not, so that they can have their own individual list of components that they want, right? So we want to be able to have that. So you're going to need Airtable for that. So I know I'm not using it right now, but that's going to be a feature that we're going to add at some point in time. Airtable and let's just say MailChimp for marketing. I mean, this could be anything else. Well, obviously it could be anything else, like ConvertKit. But I'll probably just talk about MailChimp since that's what I'm using. Although I don't want to use MailChimp, but that's a whole other question. Right. And then at the end of the day, I mean, this is something that I'm learning about. But by the time I film this course, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be ready yet to talk about marketing. Or maybe that's something we could add in the future. That could be like basically the last chapter, marketing, promoting your library. Because I know for me, there's lots of stuff that we've taken into that we kind of researched in terms of product hunt and how to launch a successful product hunt and things that we're going to be doing to try to do that. Kevin, we talked about this so many times, going out to the community, use Twitter and all these different places to just get myself out there. Even on the Webflow forums as well. I've been spending some time on there. I haven't done anything yet, but I've been reading up on kind of how people are going on Webflow, answering questions there. So lots of things that we're going to be doing, that we're going to try to do, and then see how that's going to help us get more people to our site, and then, hopefully offer some advice on what we've done anyways. Again, the whole thing too of what I'm always talking about is I never want to come across, or I never want to be the type of person that's going to, where am I here? I don't want to be the type of person that's going to stand here, live stream or whatever, and be like, hey, this is what you need to do to launch a successful, Reloom library clone, or whatever the case may be. I just want to be like, hey, this is what I've done. This is what we're doing right now. And this is how much it's worked for us in the past. Hey, maybe you can give it a try, and maybe that'll work for you. And then that's that, right? Just kind of lay out the information. And then hopefully, again, for me, from my point of view, is I hope in 2 years and 3 years, Piixel Pieces or Piixel whatever ends up being, I have 10,000 customers or whatever the case may be. And then I could talk more about okay, well, this is how I know how I've built the company into $1 million company. And here's the information that I can gather on that. That could maybe be a little bit more generic, or more not generic, but more applicable to just broad entrepreneurship in general, as opposed to specifically about, like building a Webflow component library. But even then, still, I'd be like super wary. It's like, hey, this is what's worked for me in this space. Maybe work for you. I know there's lots of tried and tested true things that a lot of people are saying in the entrepreneur space, but I've never done it. So I can't vouch for that. So I don't want to be somebody that's just going to start spewing stuff that you haven't heard before. I almost think of it like if I was in the financial space where I was just like, hey, this is how you need to invest or whatever. I think it would be kind of silly if I started talking about all the stuff that Warren Buffett says, which is super boring stuff. Was just like, hey, you don't know anything about investing. Hardly anybody can beat the index. So just buy index funds and then away you go, and then just wait for 40 years. And yeah, that's actually really good advice. And it works. But to me, to sit here as if this genius that that has this kind of authority to be able to speak on it. Like Warren Buffett's like one of the best, if not the best investors of all time. And it makes sense when he says it. But if it's just for me, it's like, well, you just heard it from that guy or whatever. Like, how do you even get to that point, right? So I don't know. I just don't want to be the person that's spouting things that, I don't know, that I just don't feel that I have the life experience to back up, I guess you can say, right? So I don't know. Rambling. as always, but that's just kind of the things that I always think about. I guess it's always making sure that you're just being authentic and true to the things that, like for me, the things that I've experienced and the things that I can speak to. And staying in my lane, I guess, because I've been doing websites and building websites for a long, long time. Those are things that I'm comfortable speaking of and things that I know that have worked for me and that I've seen it work for other people in the past. So I'm comfortable speaking to that. So, and we'll go from there as we move forward. And this will kind of tie into the things that the new project that I'm going to be sometime this week. It's going to come soon. It's all going to kind of tie in together. So I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, it's not anything really that different. It's just kind of tying everything together. Okay, so table of contents. Do I have everything that we need here? Probably all this stuff can be like broken down even more and kind of refined a little bit. But if there's anything that you would want to see in this type of, course, I say course because basically what I'm doing with this table of contents, I'm just going to break it down into, either it's going to be chapters or whatever the case may be. And those are each going to be like an individual video where I'm actually going to sit down and do a video. Either probably some of them are just going to be probably be talking head, but other ones are going to be actually interactive where I'm actually going to probably make like a demo, very bare bones project that people could maybe clone or whatever. So we'll do it that way. So it's going to be pretty in depth. So but if there's ever anything that you want to see, do let me know, especially if it's relating specifically to something like this, or if there's something that you think that you would get value from. That's not necessarily because you want to build a Reloom library clone, but maybe because you want to figure out how to create a membership site where they can have access to certain things based on, whatever. I don't know, like whatever. You're just a membership site, right? Like, okay, maybe they sign up and they pay money and then they get access to this content, or they can download a specific thing. Like, I don't know. There's lots of different things that could be useful. At least I'm hoping for anyways. Hey, Sam, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Happy Monday. This will be a packed course. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take too long to actually make, but I feel like it might take a while to make this. But I'm going to get started on it right away. The only thing that I'm thinking of doing is maybe back here, bringing in a table here and building a little bit of a set, I guess. So just so I can sit down and have my space where I can actually kind of just sit down every day for like 6 hours and just record this thing. So yeah. And yeah, I have a course too, because my whole idea is not to charge for this. I don't want to charge for education. I feel like there's so many people that have done so much great stuff in terms of bringing educational stuff, to just out there to the world, that I think just providing this thing for free, I think it's the way to go. Maybe add a chapter on how to build it in public. So what do you mean by that? How to build it in public? Like, I'm just not sure. You mean like building it like in front of people, or like, yeah. I just don't know exactly what you mean. Or like the website is public facing as you're building it, so people can access it while you're building. All right, what else? So yeah, so the membership is a big thing. So maybe let's just expand on this just a little bit. Gated content. All right, strategies you use to build yours. Building in public, basically sharing the journey as you build instead of sharing a completely built idea. Right. Okay. So that's not even so much relating to the act of building it itself, but just like what, I guess maybe the lessons that I've learned of what it's like to build an application from scratch that people can see, like you say, like that are in public. I kind of like that. So, okay. So building in public versus private. So we can talk about lessons learned, or it could be pros and cons of each way. Pros and cons of each. Yeah, I like that. Is there anything in specific that you can think that, like, is there anything specifically that you would say that you would want to see in, like, you know, that kind of chapter in terms of what it is, like what specific strategies might you want to learn about or even just hear me talk to? Talk about, yeah, the strategies. Okay. Yeah, I need the goals. Okay, yeah. Memberships. Payments, again, we're just going to be using Stripe. Creating the dynamically displaying the components. The copy, yeah. So this is the big thing. The copy component functionality. That's a big part, and then of course this was a little bit of a big part as well too. Everything else, I mean, for someone who's like familiar with Webflow, everything else was just building, like just building the actual, like the pages and whatever. Nothing too difficult. Copy, yeah, database design, integrations. Yeah, so this, thinking client first, masked, custom. Sam, maybe how it affects product adoption or sales if you have a smaller marketing budget or no experience with marketing. Yeah, which is exactly what my experience is. Definitely a small market budget. I could even talk a little bit about, well, yeah, so we do have marketing here as well too. So let me just put in budget, experience level. We could talk about early adoption. Yeah. Like I do know for me, it has been difficult to get people to be early adopters, and it's been difficult to get people to use the components. I know one person that has a website that they have live that they actually use the components to use as like a to generate interest or whatever. So that's cool. So, but other than that, yeah, it has been a slow process for me. But it's interesting because there is marketing in terms of what I've done to just build it in public, but I haven't done very much marketing in terms of like, hey, now I'm actually super, super ready to show it to people. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And then I think once I do that, I could probably think about ways how I could have done things differently to maybe do things better next time, or to at least maybe advise people on what I have learned. Because there's probably things that I could have done to market things better outside of just doing the live stream. So yeah, I think that'll be pretty important to talk about. And I think too, it's going to be important to be super honest and recognizing my mistakes. And again, not so much the mistakes of like actually like building stuff, that's easy, but even the mistakes in marketing and promotions and getting people on board, all that kind of stuff, because that's super, super important. So I feel like that's the hardest thing about business, at least for me anyways. Like building products and coming up with ideas, I get like a million ideas of a million different things that I can do. But when it comes to actually finding product market fit and being able to take feedback you get from customers and what have you. That's super, super important. So that's actually a good point. Maybe we should talk about that as well. Like product market fit. Do people use your component? That's actually a good point too. We do have this. We did incorporate stuff into Mixpanel, which I actually haven't checked in a while, because we do have analytics. Yeah, let's log in. I gotta. One second. What do you mean you couldn't find anything? What? Login link. Okay, this is different. Sorry, I was just reading an email I just got back from Webflow. Click the button to log in. Okay. Component tracking. Why does everything look like it's been grayed out? Right. So now, I can see, like, I can look exactly how things are being used. And yeah, like the site is not being used hardly at all, right? In terms of what people are going. This is since April 2nd. So that's even like, it's over like a month and a half. So not very many people. And I don't even know how many of these would be me. Although I think I took myself out of Mixpanel. So that's something too. Yeah, we could talk about tracking. That should be, it's almost its own chapter. Component / application use tracking with Mixpanel. And that's part of marketing, to knowing how well your application is actually being used. So that's pretty important. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big course. So let me just, if I can think a little bit here. So the purpose of this course is to maybe one, really educate people step by step on how to build their very own component library. So that's first and foremost, right? You want to be able to watch this course, and like by the end of it, if you would follow it to the T, you will literally have your very own Reloom library Piixel Pieces clone. Like you can just do that. So that's number one. So I think then the number two, like the reason of this is to what's like, I don't know what the word is, like pass on the lessons learned from my experience building this platform. So I guess that's the number two. So it's like the secondary thing that I want people to come out of this. So is that going to be, my question would be, is that going to be too much? Should that be something completely different and separate, right? Should there be a course, again, when I say course too, like it's all going to be free. It's all going to be Piixel. You're going to hit like courses and it's like, boom, you do this. You just like watch all the videos, and just a place where you can watch all the videos. They'll mark this one. Oh, I watched this video, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there'll be some questions. I don't know, whatever. Just maybe try to make it a little bit more interactive. But just, the self-contained thing where it's like, I just want to learn how to build this thing and just have it there. and then have something else or other courses or whatever where it's like, hey, here are like the lessons learned or the experiences that I've gained from trying to build this. Like, yeah, I don't know if it should all fit in one, or maybe that could just be at the end. Like you take the course of how to build your own component library, and then there's the chapters at the end of it that are like, again, all the things that we're talking about, where like, hey, this is what happens if you want to do this publicly, or if you want to do it privately, or how to think about doing your marketing, or how you're going to think about getting your first customers to it. Because there's how to build your course or how to build your component library. Then it's also how to build the actual application that you want, right? Like how to get customers. So it's almost like two different things, but I can also see them being the same. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you have any thoughts or ideas on that. Do let me know. And then I'm just going to put, question. Are these, or not are these, should these be in the same course? Yeah, that's the question. Okay. I like it. And I wonder too if it'll be kind of neat. I'm sure there's some stuff that we're going to do like as we're building this course. I'll probably actually record it like in real time, in the sense that we'll maybe go through some of these things where it's like a tutorial of walking through. I'll actually record it while I'm live streaming. And then it might be interesting for you guys to see the process of, making mistakes from speaking or whatever, going back and then seeing what that final edit is going to be like, as opposed to me doing it live. Because a lot of the course stuff too is going to be like, hey, now we need to go into Webflow. We need to build whatever thing. Let's do it. I'll bring up Webflow and I'll talk like this. And then again, the whole thing is going to be like the camera, like my face below the corner or whatever. And then you're looking at Webflow. So that's what it's going to be like. So maybe even doing that on the live stream would be kind of neat. And then of course we'll get the final product and actually have to edit it out, because I don't want it to just be like a live stream. I want it to be streamlined, right? Because if you take all the live streams, throw them together, you can figure out how to make your Reloom clone, but that's like 3 months worth of live streams, maybe more. So we want to make sure that we constrict it. So straight to the point, do this, make sure it's all laid out. So that being said, so what I'm going to need to do is refine this table of contents a little bit more, or probably a lot more, and then look at each individual piece and kind of just completely break it down. So for example, this whole creating the application. So that's going to be a big thing where it's like, okay, what do we need to do in Webflow, right? So we need to, there could even be a step two, like, do we use client first? Do we use some kind of, maybe this would be a good opportunity to use, for example, use my template, the beginning template, or my style guide, right? So it's like, hey, do you want to follow along on this course and build this with me? Perfect. Grab, go into the resource tab on Piixel and grab this whatever the template's called, clone it, and then away you go, right? And then we could just go from there. So that's probably actually a good thing to do. Is maybe I'll put a note of this. Let's maybe note. Incorporate the use of your own products when building out the tutorial. Example, use your starter template or style guide. And you just say something like, you can start with any style guide you want. There are great ones out there, like client first. But we're going to, use this one. whatever, right? Like that's what the the wording would be. Okay. Right. Yeah, so this one, anyways, we're going to have to break this down considerably into what each step is going to be. Start with a template. Okay, we're going to build a homepage, hero page. And this is another thing too. Do we go deep into, like creating a Figma like template? Do we have a starting point for like, hey, here's what we have our design. We designed this thing in Figma and then we want to just build this in Webflow. I think that'll probably be helpful because, again, if we're thinking of people being beginners and they've never really built much before, saying, oh, let's just go into Webflow. It's like, oh, we're just going to build a homepage. Oh, we're just going to build a component page. I think having some type of template to start with in Figma so that they can see what the different pages are going to be, we could start with that, right? So it's not going to be a Figma tutorial, but it's going to be like, hey, we did create something in Figma that's like a super, super bare bones, not highly designed or polished component library, right? It's going to be super, super, super basic, but it's going to show everything. And then that's what we're going to build off of. Yeah, I like that. And it's like, okay, we're going to just recreate this in Webflow. Again, if you want to take this, this project, at the end of it, you can clone it and you can just do your own thing with it if you want to. It's like, here's a finished product. But then people can take that and they could style it however they want to, right? So yeah, we're gonna do that. So we're gonna have to build all of these things too. So that's maybe behind the scenes, I could start writing the scripts and laying out everything for all the different chapters and whatever in this video series. But then there's other things that we can do maybe just on the live stream where we can just keep working. It's like, okay, let's build a Figma thing for for the tutorial, and then let's build out finalize our style guide for what that's going to be and our template for that. So let's figure those things. So we can even start building those things on stream as we kind of get ready to film all of this stuff. So yeah, this is actually going to be pretty involved. But I do think, I think what's going to be really cool is that as I'm filming these things, I'm going to take like these small little chunks, and I'm almost positive that I'm going to take them and cut them up and either use them on social media. Well, I am going to use them on social media. I always say like social media or YouTube, but YouTube is social media. But we'll probably make like smaller like YouTube videos or whatever. That's just like, hey, how to do this one specific thing, and make that into like a YouTube video as well too. So I'll try to repurpose that and bring it all into, just repurpose the stuff that I'm going to be using for social media to help, get some experience and some exposure to myself and Piixel. And then of course use that at the end of the day in this course. So I think that'll be really, really cool. Okay. So yeah, this is going to take a while. This is going to take quite a bit of time. But this is like the project. I think this is going to be really awesome. And we also need to think about, in the meantime, we need to really focus on actually building more components on Piixel, right? And getting that out there and doing our own internal marketing as well. So maybe there's a thing too, because I'm definitely thinking that maybe one stream a week, we can just sit down and like build, 5 new components or whatever the case may be, however many we can do in a day, and spend one day as like a business. This day is component day, and we'll build components and then we'll release them. And maybe that'll be, because we don't want to just let it, we don't want to let it die. We want to keep building it, right? And keep growing it. So that's another thing to consider. Lots of things to consider. So much to do. But one of the things too that I've been thinking about in terms of, like, I know I was talking about the science website and having that going in, but one of the things that I'm going to talk about over the next couple of days is how, like, I'm going to be putting that one off to the side because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many things that I can do. And I think that doing this is going to be the best thing that I can do to try to, like, it's going to put myself in the best possible position for success. And the way that I'm defining success for me is that I don't have to worry about running out of money in 6 months or whatever the case may be, so that I have to go get a job because I can't, I need to put food on the table for my family. So if I want to get to the point where I can start having in, you've just like a few customers coming in a month, getting in that initial revenue, and I could breathe a little easier. And then, just focus on doing this one thing. And that's growing Piixel. So that's kind of the direction that we're going to be going here. So, all right. So I think I'm going to leave it here for today. So thank you so much for joining and stopping by. Kevin, Sam, always great to see you. Thank you so much. And if there's any questions or any thoughts or anything that you want to see in this course or whatever, we're probably going to do something kind of cool where I'm going to even just have like the table of contents and the content that I'm using. Maybe I'll just put it all on Google Drive or something so people can kind of go in and see it. Maybe not make so that people could edit it, but maybe people can see it and you can kind of see this course being built in real time. I think that would be kind of cool too. Because whether it's going to take a month or whether it's going to take 3 months, I'm not exactly sure. But even like public sourcing this thing, I think would be pretty cool too. So lots of cool stuff in the pipeline. So we're just going to keep growing and keep plugging away, and maybe most importantly, keep having fun, because I love doing this stuff. So super excited. All right, guys. Thanks again for all the support. Really, really appreciate it. And as always, we'll be back here for another stream tomorrow. So until then, have yourself a fantastic day.